Hey folks, this is Rhykker, bringing you a Diablo 3 patch 2.3 Witch Doctor build guide. Now this is an updated version of the 2.2 Dart Doctor, which includes the new items that you get via Kanai's cube passives. Do note that this is on the PTR though, so everything is subject to change, but for the time being, the Dart build is now even more powerful, and I'm about to show you why. Now, the secret sauce lies in all the items that we're using, so we're going to start with the skill setup. The heart of the build is Poison Dart, Snake to the Face. And the exact rune here may actually change now, because in patch 2.3, crowd control is being hugely nerfed, so that 1.5 second stun won't be that meaningful anymore. But the exact rune isn't integral to the build, just using the skill Poison Dart. Next, we're going to use Spirit Barrage Phantasm. You might be asking, why are we using a cold skill? Well, we're not dealing any damage with this. We're going to be using this to proc other skills, and we'll explain why in a little bit. I know I keep saying that, but we are building to something, don't worry. Important to note is that we could have 3 phantasms out at one time, and they each last 5 seconds and cover a 10-yard area. Next we have Spirit Walk Jaunt. Simple mobility and defensive option, a great escape power. Next we have Soul Harvest Languish. Once again, that crowd control is being reduced, but this is giving us an armor buff, while also giving us an intelligence buff, and that intelligence translates into more damage and more all resist, so more toughness. Soul Harvest Languish is all around just a great buff skill. Next we have Fetish Army Legion of Daggers. It's the combination of Poison Dart and Fetish Army that makes up the heart of this build. And again, our items will explain why. Then our last active will be Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance. This gives us a huge attack speed buff and damage buff. And the best part is that we're going to have basically a 100% uptime on this skill. Onto our passives. You saw Grave Injustice there for a moment. We actually don't need that, but it's not a bad option. It will help with the cooldown of mostly just Spirit Walk. But as for what you do want, Gruesome Feast. Every time you get healed by a health globe, you're gonna get a nice boost to your intelligence, which translates into more damage and more toughness. Next we want Spirit Vessel. This is our free resurrection skill. Then we want Pierce the Veil. All damage increased by 20% at the cost of more mana, but our main damage dealer doesn't cost us any mana at all, and that's Poison Dart. And lastly, Fetish Sycophants. We want to have as many fetishes as possible, and that's where these guys come in. Now another option is Fierce Loyalty. This will basically give you a movement speed buff whenever you're out of combat. This just helps to clear faster. So if you're going more for speed grifting, you might want to take Fierce Loyalty, but otherwise the other skills will help you survive more. Now onto the items. This build hinges on the interaction of a number of items, starting with the 6-piece bonus of the Zuni set. First off, your Fetish Army lasts until they die. Next, for every fetish you have alive, you take less damage, that's why we want more fetishes. And lastly, enemies hit by mana spenders take more damage. That's why we wanted Spirit Barrage. We can have 3 of these things active, and they last 5 seconds each, and they cover a sizable area. That's going to allow a lot of enemies to be under this effect and thus taking more damage. The next set we're going to need is Focus and Restraint. This is the other reason why we want to be using a mana spender at least once every 5 seconds. That's going to allow you to get the 50% damage buff every time you hit with a dart, and 50% damage buff every time you hit with Spirit Barrage. Next, we need the Carnevil. Your fetishes shoot a poison dart every time you do. You're not the one dealing the damage here, it will be your fetishes, and they could bring a huge amount of pain. Next, we'll want a Starmetal Kukri, and this is the first significant modification to the base Dart Doctor build. You don't need a Starmetal Kukri, but if you do get it, you become exceptionally more powerful. Every time your fetishes deal damage, and you're gonna have a ton of fetishes, the cooldown on Big Bad Voodoo goes down by 1 second. Now this has a 120 second cooldown, but with how often your fetishes will be attacking, you will basically have 100% uptime on 20% faster attack speed and 30% more damage. For your belt, you'll want a Witching Hour in order to maximize your damage, and the exact shoulder or amulet item that you select isn't crucial to the build, but Pauldrons of the Skeleton King would be best in slot thanks to that chance at a free revive, and a well-rolled Hellfire Amulet would be your best in slot amulet, or an immunity amulet. For the full breakdown on what affixes you want on which slots, you can check out the old video because that all stays the same. But now if you look at our Kanai's cube, what are the 3 item passives that we want? First off, we need that Ring of Royal Grandeur. This is what allows us to have focus and restraint, thus basically doubling our damage. We also want the Mask of Jeram. This makes pets deal 100% more damage, thus doubling our damage. And you also want the Dagger of Darts. That makes your poison darts and your Fetish's poison darts pierce. Now between the Starmetal Kukri and the Dagger of Darts, you want one of them to be the weapon you use, and the other one to be the one whose passive you have equipped. Because the Starmetal Kukri rolls with crit damage, it has the potential to be a better rolled weapon than the Dagger of Darts, but work with what you find. These are both incredibly rare items. Same thing with the Mask of Jeram and the Carnevil. Ideally though, you want to be melting down your Mask of Jeram. When you melt down an item, the passive you get is the max roll. The range on the Mask of Jeram's pet damage increase is 75 to 100%, whereas the Carnevil's ability has no range. So unless you get a perfectly rolled Mask of Jeram, it's probably better to melt down the Mask of Jeram and equip a Carnevil. As for legendary gems, you want the Gogok of Swiftness to increase your attack speed. You want those darts to be hitting as often as possible. You want Simplicity Strength to increase that Dagger of Darts damage. And then you want an Enforcer gem to increase that pet damage. Now there is wiggle room with these gems. The only one you really want for sure is Simplicity Strength. The other 2 are negotiable. You can go with a defensive one like a Gem of Esoteric Alteration if you feel you need that to push the higher greater rifts. And you can also opt for a Bane of the Trapped. For your Paragon, make sure your total move speed is brought up to 25%, factoring in what your boots give you. Then dump everything else into Intelligence. For offense, you want crit damage, crit chance, and attack speed. For defense, all resist armor and life percent. And utility doesn't really matter. Now again, I'll note this is on the PTR. Everything is still subject to change before the patch releases, so do check back in the future for any possible updates to this build. Or if you're watching this in the future, check my channel to see if I've posted a new Witch Doctor video. That wraps up this guide. Thanks for watching. Check out these other videos. And if you enjoyed this one, share it with friends, leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe to join Rhyker's Raiders.
Spirits aid me. I cannot do that. My strike is true. You're evil and I cannot do that. Need more time. I grow weak.